Welcome to the mystery of the Paschal candle. My dear brothers and sisters, this Paschal candle is a very important element during the Easter Vigil, and not only during the Vigil, but also during the entire season of Easter up to the day of Pentecost. This candle burns next to the altar during the Holy Eucharist. And not only that, even during the sacraments of baptism, confirmation, ordination, and at the time of death, this candle burns bright next to the altar at the time of the Holy Eucharist. What is the representation of this Paschal candle? This Paschal candle, why is it at the beginning of the vigil before singing of the Exultet, the main celebrant incenses the Paschal candle? These are some of the questions that we have in our minds. This Paschal candle is a representation of Christ. This Paschal candle is not candle but Christ. Therefore, the arrangements and the decorations that happen to the candle is very, very important. If you remember, the Easter Vigil begins when the candle is not lit. The candle is brought, the candle is decorated, and then the candle is lit with the new fire, and then the candle is taken in procession with proclamation, "This is the light of Christ," and goes on. The Easter Vigil begins by decorating the candle. If you know that this candle is marked with a cross, with an alpha, with an omega, and with 2020. My friends, the cross symbolizes the death of Christ. And alpha and omega is what Christ says, that I am the alpha and omega, which is found in the book of Revelation chapter 3. Continuation of that is, I am also the time and seasons, in the book of Revelation chapter 3. Therefore, Alpha and Omega represents that it is Christ. The times and the seasons also represents that it is Christ. And then this candle becomes Christ himself when these 5 wounds are marked. The 2 wounds are the 2 wounds that happened in his hands and in his leg and his crown of thorns, and then the side that was pierced. The 5 wounds of Jesus is marked, though it is said decorated, it is marked. Therefore, this candle becomes Christ himself. But there's one problem. Christ is marked, Christ is wounded, but then there is no light. As long as there is no light, it is equivalent to lifeless. If you remember, Christ died on the Friday, and on the Saturday we light the candle. Before the candle gets lit, it's equivalent to death. That is, Christ is dead. The candle represents that Christ is dead indeed. And then this Christ, the dead Christ, when the new fire is lit, comes to life again. That is the mystery of the resurrection event. And then the lit Christ is being proclaimed, light of Christ, and then brought to the altar, and then put on a stand, and then incensed. The candle is incensed because candle is the representation of Christ himself. When the candle becomes the representation of Christ himself, then the Exultet is sung. And then something more unique happens at the time of the blessing of water. If you have seen, analyzed and recognized and observed that during the time of blessing of water, the candle is being immersed in the water. My friends, most of the times you might have seen during the ordinary season, the priests bless the water. How do they bless? They take some salt and mix it in the water and say, as Elisha mixed the salt with the water in order to keep it prevented from all dangers, the salt was mixed with water and the water was being purified. But then today we do not mix salt with the water, but rather we immerse Christ into the water. When Christ is immersed into the water, all evil is gone, loses their importance, is being destroyed from water. The fact that the water has evil elements and evil inclinations, in the same manner, the candle that is a representation of Christ, or Christ himself, when he descends into the water, he removes all evil, and thus we need not have to use the salt in order to purify it, but Christ himself purifies it. This Paschal candle, who's a representation of Christ, who's Christ himself, may be our guide. And God bless you. Amen.